Pereira, will you read the resolution before you present?
Sure, Mr. Board of Education resolution establishing the election of members of the Elizabeth Board of Education as the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. Whereas PL 2011 C-202 Senate Bill 3148 authorizes the local Board of Education to change the election date of school board members from the third Tuesday in April to the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November, the general election. And whereas such action requires the adoption of a resolution by a majority vote of a quorum of the local Board of Education, and whereas PL 2011 C-202 S-3148 requires that the change in election date remain in effect for 4 years. And whereas PL 2011 C-202 S-3148 eliminates the annual voter referendum on the proposed general fund tax levy, i.e. the base budget, which is at or below the statutory tax levy cap, in school districts where Board of Education members are selected at the general election. And whereas PL 2011-202 S-3148 requires that an additional general fund tax levy proposal, for example, for an expenditure in excess of the tax levy cap, be presented to voters as a separate question at the general election. And whereas the Elizabeth Board of Education believes that the financial interest of its constituents is safeguarded by the state's tax levy and the thorough review of the proposed school budget by the Executive County Superintendent and the Executive County School Business Administrator. And whereas the Elizabeth Board of Education believes that more citizens will participate in the selection of its members at the general election than on the third Tuesday in April, and that the higher level of participation will foster positive interest in our public schools. And whereas the Elizabeth Board of Education is committed to the nonpartisan status of school board membership and the nonpartisan conduct of school elections, and believes this principle will not be compromised by conducting board member elections in November. Now therefore, be it resolved that pursuant to PL 2011 C-202 S-3148, the Elizabeth Board of Education changes the annual election date for its members from the third Tuesday in April to the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November, the general election, beginning in 2012. Be it further resolved that pursuant to PL 2011 C-202 S-3148, this change will remain in effect at least through November 2015. Resolved that pursuant to PL 2011, the annual organization meeting of the Elizabeth Board of Education will take place in the first week of January following the November general election, and that the Board of Education's next organization meeting will take place on January 3rd, 2013. Be it further resolved that pursuant to PL 2011 CS3148, members of the Elizabeth Board of Education whose terms would have expired by May 1st, 2012 will continue to serve in office until the January 2013 organization meeting. Be it further resolved that this resolution be provided to Governor Christopher Christie, Lieutenant Governor, Secretary of State Kimberly Guadagno, Richard E. Constable III, Acting Commissioner, Department of Community Affairs, Robert F. Giles, Director, Division of Elections, Department of State, Joanne Rajapi, Union County Clerk, the Union County Board of Elections, Yolanda Roberts, Elizabeth City Clerk, Christopher Cerf, Acting Commissioner of Education, the Division of Finance, New Jersey Department of Education, Joseph F. Passaman Jr., RSBA, Executive County Superintendent for Union County, and the New Jersey School Boards Association. I move the resolution.
Second. Moved by Ms. Pereira, second by Ms. Castillo. Any questions or comments?
Yes, Mr. Nasco.
Mr. De Silva, the floor is yours.
I'd like to take this opportunity to commend our board for taking an action that's going to save the taxpayer money and allow more people in our city to get involved in our Board of Ed elections. Because I know over and over again it's said that the Board of Ed elections have low turnout compared to our city elections and our general elections. So this year, particularly, be a little different. We're going to get more people involved that will come out for a general election, have an opportunity to have their voice heard, and make sure that the board members that they believe are doing the right work for their children. and for my children as well. So I'd like to commend this board of thinking about the taxpayer first. We're going to save money by eliminating an election process, and at the same time allowing the rest of our residents that normally don't come out to come out and voice their opinion on our Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De Silva. Any other comments? I would just like to say that in our efforts to provide excellent educational experiences to our students, we are also cognizant of the needs of the community. And moving our election from April to the general November election is going to save the taxpayers in the state of New Jersey hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we want to be fiscally responsible and make sure that we are providing the best services for the citizens of our city. Also, it gives the opportunity, as Mr. De Silva says, that a greater majority of people will come out and support the candidates for the Elizabeth Board of Education, as there is generally a larger turnout in the November election. And I think that the citizens of Elizabeth recognize the job that the current board is doing. I would like to just remind everyone of the 3 blue ribbon schools that we have, the #2 high school that we have in the state of New Jersey, and the citizens recognize that and will support the board in their efforts. And I would like to congratulate the board, so if this resolution gets approved, that on being proactive and leading the community with the best interest of the children. Roll call, Mr. Kennedy.
Burgos. Yes, absolutely. Castillo.
Absolutely, yes.
De Silva.
Yes.
Denoso.
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ferrer.
Yes.
Nasca.
Yes.